Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy that you could join us for our session here this afternoon on sales. And we have Peter Gruitz is joining us and providing us with some really great expertise. So Peter, I just wanted to introduce you and also introduce SCORE, and then we can get underway with your session, which is why folks are here in the first place. I'm really excited to have you. So for those of you who are not aware of who we are and what we do, SCORE is a national nonprofit organization partnered under the SBA. And we have over 300 chapters throughout the nation, over 11,000 volunteers. Peter and myself are both volunteers with SCORE. I am the chair of the education committee. My name is Paula Biltmore, and we welcome you here this afternoon to learn more about helping your business with selling. So other services that we offer through SCORE, our primary service is mentorship. And this is amazing because honestly, I was a consultant for a number of years before I got into health insurance. And I used to charge for these kinds of services. So to have all of these resources at your fingertips with no cost is simply amazing. So if you're in the startup phase and you're researching and planning out your business, or you're opening a new business, looking at growing your business, not only do you have access to workshops like these, you also have access to a mentor who can help you through each of those stages. And then when you get ready to sell your business, we have an entire exit strategy team that can literally walk you through that process step by step. So we're here to help every step of the way in your business, and we couldn't do it without our community partners. We're so incredibly grateful for their support so that we can provide programs like this to you, and also all of the other services that we do through mentoring. Today, we're going to talk about surviving and thriving in 2021 and looking at a successful sales strategy. And we are heaven blessed to have Peter with us today. Peter has such an amazing breadth and scope of expertise, and just really gives information in easy to understand format. You can see he has a really expansive background in the financial industry, whether it's brokerage or banking, as well as in IT security. So we're really excited, Peter, to have you here with us today, and I'm going to hand the reins over to you. I'll manage the slides for you here on this end, so just let me know when you're ready to go.
Thank you. Hi, everybody, and thank you for coming in to join us today on this about sales strategy. Sales is such a maligned experience in business, but more in the public. And we've all heard of salespeople who are con artists. Some people, my father-in-law, would rather walk on broken glass than be called a salesman. So that is an image that many people have difficulty overcoming. And a lot of people say, well, I'm not a salesman. Well, you are a salesman if you're trying to get something done, because everything, and I do mean everything in business, starts with a sale. If you don't have a sale, all the rest of it doesn't really count for much. So why are salespeople, why are they considered so negatively? And much of that is because a lot of times the company they're working for or themselves have not taken the time to understand their customers, to understand how their product relates to their customer. I like to think that if you're doing selling as a profession, you're really not selling. What you're doing is you're helping your customers through the buying experience. And that buying experience can be as simple as buying something from a retail store, selling something on the sidewalk as far as landscaping services. It can be any of those things, but you're trying to help your customer understand your value proposition. And your value proposition is what you need to understand and how you need to articulate it in such a way. Let's go to the business model canvas. The business model canvas is a tool that we've been using. It was developed in 2004, 2005. And we've been using it at SCORE about 10 years after it was out in the marketplace. I think we started using it around 2015. And our particular goal in this was we had realized that most of our clients that we were mentoring did not have a way of identifying where they were in the process, what their value proposition was in the marketplace, other than I'm just trying to sell something. So we as a chapter adapted the business model canvas as a tool that we work with our clients in mentoring. The business model canvas has 9 blocks of information that are not long business plan issues, but are short reminders of what your business is all about. Today, we're going to discuss really 4 things within the business model canvas that are the value proposition. That is, what are you bringing to the market? What do you and your business have to do with satisfying the problems and the pain that your customers have? If I don't have a need, why do I need you? That's something that you have to keep in mind. Also, how do you maintain those customer relationships? And how do you sell your product? And what are your customer segments? What markets are you looking for? That's what the business model canvas is all about. This is really a visual chart of how you describe your business. We're not going to discuss those other issues. And if you have a SCORE mentor, they'll spend time with you to develop the value proposition, the customer relationships, the channels for selling, how you market your product, and what are your customer segmentations. That's worth an hour's discussion just to get you to think that way. And that certainly is a preliminary in reference to trying to think about how you're going to handle your sales strategy. Paula? So this is maybe put a little bit ahead of time, but how do you build a sales team? Well, you hire a guy off the street, or who you hire is important, but more importantly is how do you train them to represent you? If you have a business and you feel strongly about it, how do you communicate that feeling, that emotion, that requirement, that need? How do you send that on to other people? So you have to build a sales team that allows you to initially train, but also ongoingly train. I don't know if ongoingly is a word, but on an ongoing basis. And you have to set realistic goals, and you have to figure out ways to incentivize your team. I've worked with a lot of different companies that have, once they get the sales up there, once the sales guys have filled their books, then, well, what do I need them for? The reality of it is sales is a continual process, and it is part of building the flow, the day-to-day demand for your business. Paula? So to generate new business is really very important. If you have just one client, you're not going to last very long. And so you have to do things to generate that business in any sales process. You have to feed your sales staff. You have to give them ammunition to fire out in the marketplace. So you need traditional marketing. And Jack Morris does an excellent job in talking about our marketing plan here at SCORE. Digital advertising is very important. We'll touch on that in a minute. But the best possible client you could get is a referral, because that referral is coming from somebody who you satisfied. It's someone that you made happy with their transaction. So referrals, customers you have in place, who you can continue to sell to, who you can continue to get leads from, those are the most important people in your business. And then also you need to be able to upsell. That is, you sold them a boat, now you need to sell them an anchor. And that's the kind of stuff that goes on. And promotions, you need to develop promotions. These are ongoing enterprise issues that you have to address when you're developing a sales strategy. One of the things Rick Ross, one of our former chairmen, talked about was having a marketing calendar. Setting a calendar up for the year with a budget so that you know what's coming up next week, next month, how you plan for it, how you put that information in place so you can move it along. So having a marketing calendar is also a very important thing. Next. No, go back one. There we go. Now, what does this possibly have to do with sales? Jory Berkowitz, another SCORE mentor, felt that this was the best slide that we had to talk about. And it really is talking about your prospects. Most people realize that if you're going to get an ongoing relationship, you need to have a bigger prospect than a small prospect. So you got to go elephant hunting. You get a license. I always used to think of it as getting a hunting license to go selling. That is, you had to be in a position to sell to a particular type of client. You had to define what that client was. Now, a larger elephant requires a lot more to feed, and it's a lot more to clean up. But that larger prospect represents a great opportunity for you to expand your business. So you need to go big game hunting when you're going to look for prospects. You need to identify who your perfect customer is. How many of you out there right now can say, I know what my perfect customer is? My perfect customer is, tall, short, whatever the issue is. It also has to be about their buying pattern. It has to be about what they are interested in. What do they have as a similarity between other customers that you deal with? Also, and you're looking at these two elephants. Many businesses will spend 80% of their time on the smaller elephant and 20% of their time on the larger one, when in effect they should be spending 80% on their big prospects and 20% on their occasional and regular. I went into a place the other day, and there was a guy there, was sitting in this guy's prime spot. His customers were coming in, and this guy wasn't buying anything. He was coming in to be a friend. He wasn't a friend of this guy. He was an imposition. He was a problem. And many of us have clients or prospects like that who just want to talk, just want to waste our time. You have to look for prospects where you can put a business relationship together, where what you're doing really is of consequence to support the needs of that larger prospect. Paula? So what kind of prospecting is there? Well, there's all kinds. But you should look for opportunities to prospect, not like a wild, out of control insurance agent, but you should be looking for people who have similar interests, people you know who could participate and benefit from your business, and you should look for ways to attach yourself to them in conversation at least. So all venues of opportunity represent an opportunity for prospecting. So you want to look for impromptu ways to talk about your business. You want to look for ways to kind of really understand really where those prospects are. Now, a way to do this is through data mining. Most of you out there have heard of data mining. And there is a service available at the Sarasota and the Manatee Public Library called the Merchant Intellect. And you can define prospects by a variety of opportunities. So you're identifying your perfect prospect, your perfect customer. Use these data mining technologies that are available for free to define, look, and categorize and get a list of the people in your market area who will benefit from your services. You can do that also you can put that into specialized CRMs. We're going to talk about customer relationship management software. These are tools for you to be able to identify who you do business with. They're not a waste of time. They're an opportunity for you to get a strategy and a process in place to be able to do that. Follow? So what are the tools? What things can you use to find prospects? What can you data mine? Well, you can begin to build them on spreadsheets. You can go to Mergent Intellect, like we talked about. What it does, it allows you to profile a customer and to find everybody in your marketplace that fits that profile. You can do the same thing on LinkedIn, by the way, and you can go through social media and find things like that. And then you want to position yourself so you can begin to present things to these people or get them to be aware of what your business is all about. And then you can use a customer relationship management system. Then there are many of them out there. And there's also industry-specific software. I was with a customer a week ago, and they're interested in selling their business. And we wanted to look at what was their way of tracking sales for the people that were going to buy their business. And they had used, they eventually designed and customized their own software program that they could use for bidding that also tracked all their customer relationship management. They had a process, a very successful business. And it's important for you to have a successful deal like that. So let's go on to the next one, Paula. This is, for those of you who have never seen it, this is Disney's Alice in Wonderland. And the caterpillar sees Alice walk up and he says, "Who are you?" That's one of the biggest questions that are on the minds of your suspects or prospects. Who are you? How do you respond to that? Well, we like to think that you do three things whenever anybody asks you that question, or you have an opportunity to express that, is really qualify yourself. Who are you? What is your background? And we're not talking about you spending 15 minutes talking about where you went to high school. We're talking about who are you and what is your background in maybe 2 sentences. And then the question is, what do you do? Who do you do it for? What is going on in your life, and why is that relevant to me to understand that? That also is a precision remark. And then how does your business experience help solve the problems of the people you're talking to? Now you say, well, that's pretty corny. No, it isn't. It's vital to your business that you understand how to express those items and how your people that work for you, whether it's on the floor or whether it's in a sales environment outside, or whether they're working on a project and they're going in to see a customer to do something, they have to have this story embedded in their conversation. And so do you. You need to make sure that people know who you are, what you do, and how it means a good thing for them. Follow? So here's something we've used to try to help that. This is something that Bank United has helped us put together. And it's really called an elevator pitch. And an elevator pitch doesn't mean, I know there's not a lot of elevators in Florida. Most of us are on one floor. But back up just one if you would, Paula. The elevator pitch itself is where you're asked, and these are available, by the way, for your SCORE mentors. They'll give you a number of them for you to fill them out and try them out. We'll also send you one after the presentation. But this is where you describe what you do. You learn to introduce yourself. A lot of people have difficulty introducing themselves. You know, most of us are rather shy. Most of us really we're not as outgoing as we think we are. And we need something to reinforce us into being able to communicate better. Being shy doesn't mean that you can't communicate. It just means you have to struggle with it a little bit. So that's really a way for you to be able to get past the struggle. So what you want to do is develop a cheat sheet. That's what we call it. And you can use this to create an elevator pitch for yourself. And an elevator pitch is not just for getting in an elevator and talking to somebody who's a complete stranger and have a pitch that allows them to at least become interested in you. This is really your branding. This is how you begin to tell people who you are, what you do, and why you're important in the world that you're dealing with. So this is something we'll work on. And this is something we'll put. Let's go to the next one. So let's give you an elevator pitch. This is, we'll try a couple of them. By the way, how many of you out there have a practiced written elevator pitch? I'll bet you half of you don't. And those who do haven't practiced it very much. And do you make it part of the challenge for your staff and the people that work with you in your business to understand and know that elevator pitch? So, hi, my name is Jack. It's a pleasure to meet you. Think of me in an elevator right now. I have background in business analytics with over 10 years of experience creating data-driven solutions for all types of business problems. Specifically, I love to have and have had great success in the strategic evaluation of data analysis with our executive staff. Sounds like we do similar work. I don't know what he bases that on, because you have to have conversation going on with that. I'd love to keep in touch with you to learn more about what you and your company do. Here's my business card. Let's get together. That is an elevator pitch. Not painful. It didn't make anybody embarrassed. It didn't impose themselves on anyone. It said, I'm confident about what I'm doing. I'm confident about who I am. And I think I could help you if you ever have a need in this area. And it doesn't matter what your business is. You can say, hey, I'm in the landscaping business and we do great work. Our customers are very happy. Hey, in that one neighborhood, I've got 35 customers and there's only 60 houses in that neighborhood. And they've been customers of mine for years. Who does your landscaping? Those are the kind of things that you need to rehearse and practice and be able to remark to those so that you have something going right away. Let's go on to the next one, Paula. So having an elevator pitch is important, but knowing your customer is important. The top line says the most important element of any business. What do you think is the most important element of your business? Say it out loud so you hear yourself. You're saying the most important element of any business, my business, any business, is what? Some say inventory, some say location, some say financial backing, some say product. What have you said? If you said customer, you'd be right. Because no matter what you have about all of those other things, if you don't have a customer, they're just dead inventory. They're not going anywhere. A customer is what makes your reason for being in business there. Without that, you don't have anything. So you have to have a customer that's going to help you get through this. And you have to have a customer that meets your ideal setting. You want customers that generate 80% of your business, and you don't want to waste too much time on 80% of your time on 20% of your production, or the amount of money that you get from your customers. So that's very important. One of the things we've been talking about sales process is really, I'll give you one that I have found works for me. I've used it for, I guess I've used it for 40 years. And it is a sales process that I can communicate. It's a sales process I use when I'm in a sales call. It's something that ties in to knowing your customer and learning to get at your customer. And that is, Who, what, and I don't know. Who, what, and I don't know. I would imagine some of you know who actually said that first. You raise your hand and tell me if you have a chance. So who is who are you? What are your qualifications? And then who is the customer? What is their qualifications? Are they qualified to buy from you? Is that something that you're looking at? Or aren't they? And then the what is the transaction all about? What is their need? And how are you going to fill that need? And do the two of you have an agreement that that need and that fulfillment of that need is necessary? The next is, I don't know. You never can sell something unless you get an objection. And an objection is, I don't know. Well, what don't you know? Well, I just don't know. I don't know if I have enough money for it. I'm just not sure. Go ahead, Paula. So you want to track where these things are. If you're building a business, you need to have a customer relationship management system. There are all kinds. There are free ones. There are very sophisticated ones. But the idea is simply to know who your customer is, to gather as much information as you can to be able to profile that customer so it matches the profile of new prospects. Paula? The different screen, there's different screens on all of them. But what they do is they are collecting data. You're collecting the data on a customer that tells you where you have all the information. You have an inventory of them. You have a database on them so that you can begin to send quotes out. So you can do everything faster because you have that information already in place. And the information you have in place gives you ways to measure your success with different customers. That's really where you want to go. Some of the things that a CRM program will give you is really what your customers' needs are. What products have you moved on? When did they buy in this cycle? How many sales calls did it take? How many times did they have to walk in your door before? It's all stuff you have to filter what information is important to you. But that's what that's all about. Paula? So if you have a CRM program, and this is a kind of a fancy illustration of that, is that you can see where your business is coming from. You can see what you're doing and when they are. If I'm using the who, what, and I don't know sales process, I'm putting customers in there who I've introduced and qualified our business to, who I know they exist, but we haven't, and they've shown an interest, but we haven't gotten to that point of being able to define what their real needs are. Either time stopped it, or we're going to do that the next time we go out, or we have to go out to their site to see them, or they haven't told us what else they're looking for. That's moving it to what. So if I have a stack of people in the who category, I have an opportunity to go from who's out there to call them back, to know that I'm moving to defining their needs. And that's the what. Now, I may have another list of people who've already been safely at first, who now are going to second, the what, and I'm defining that. And I now know what their needs are. I now know what their prejudices are. I now know what they're looking for. So I can begin to make sure that my product meets that requirement. So I'm not selling them something they don't want, they don't need, or they think is really, I dump something on them. That's not the way you do things. You want to be able to constructively relate to your customer. And the what allows you to do that. The third would be, well, I don't know. I've already presented and safely tagged first. I'm on second, and now I'm going to third. And I don't know is third. That's the objection. And if you've done first and second, and you're trying to get to third, you have to know what they don't know. It would be natural for you to say, well, Mr. Customer, here's how we're going to solve your problem. Are you ready to move on that? That's a trial close. And they say, well, I don't know. The obvious retort to that is, well, what don't you know? And then you rehearse what you did at first. You rehearse what you did at second. And then you overcome or try to overcome that objection by moving on and overcoming the I don't know. So a CRM program allows you that kind of movement. Paula? So many SCORE clients we have use CRM just to track their contacts. They want to know the phone number, the address, the name, and really something important. But all of these other things are what they can track. They can look at potential opportunities to track interactions with their customers. They can record when was the last time they made a phone call. They have an idea of when they're going to deal with that customer again. If you are managing salespeople, and salespeople are sometimes pretty difficult to manage, you want to know where they are with their base of clients and prospects. And using a CRM program allows you to do that. It helps you determine where a prospect is within your sales strategy. And that lets you know what you need to do next. Whether you need to send a sample or whether you need to, who knows whether that, whatever you've defined as part of your sales process. So you know what's coming up next. They're not telling you what's coming up next because you're the expert. That's a challenge. Are you an expert? You should be an expert in the business that you're in. You should have engineered in your own mind and on paper and in your business what it takes to make sure that you can do a job better than anybody on the street. That's why you're an expert. If you ask, well, what do you think? Well, I don't know what to think. You're the expert. That's the kind of comments you want to receive, that you are the expert in your particular field. And your sales process means that you know where the customer's going. You're sharing information with them along the way so they can make a decision. You're not trying to sell them something. You're trying to help them in the buying process as you go along. So the important thing is, what does your customer need? Paula? Really, what are we looking at? What is the point of pain that you can solve? What is the need that they have? It may be a very easy need. Hey, I need to have my grass cut. But that's a point of pain. If I need to get my grass cut, I want to make sure that it is cut on a regular basis, that they're going to do a good job, and they're going to do it in an efficient way, and it's going to be economical. Those are the things that everybody's looking for. That's not a real difficult sale. But it is important for you, if you're in that business, to be able to reinforce that, have examples of your work, and know how you're going to satisfy that need with your customer. So the objective is, you said you're interested in getting your grass cut. The benefit is, I'll do the right job. You're going to experience a no stress deal. And why? Because we've done it for so many other people, and you'll be happy to see that on once a month I come out and do this that no one else does. But then you have to also check in with your customer to make sure that what you sold your customer got delivered. That what you said and promised your customer, you delivered on. Once they're a customer, you can't just assume they're happy. You know what they say about the word assume, and it's you and me, right? So we don't really want to assume anything. We have to constantly reinforce our position with our customer. Our customer needs to be aware of the fact that we're interested in their survival. They're pleased with what we're trying to do. Paula? So let's get on to this third base thing. I don't know. So you present a opportunity to somebody. Okay, I'll cut your grass for $150 a month. Well, I don't know. Well, what don't you know? It's either too expensive. I don't have any budget left for that. I don't have that much. I just don't know. So you can fight with them, or next, you can handle the objection. Handling an objection is not arguing with the customer. It's not telling them they're wrong. Well, $150 is a great price, and you'd be a fool not to take it. Well, you're going to sell that one real well. No, what you have to do is you have to persuade them. And an objection is a good sign that they're interested in your product or service. So you have to make sure that you contact, it's a great time for you to reinforce your qualifications, that you understand the need, that you understand the need better than they do, and that you have a way of satisfying that need in a better way than they could just on their own and in half the time and at a reasonable price. So you have to kind of not argue with them. You have to come back to this process. You have to think about, we're qualified, we understand your need, and we've presented a solution that is really kind of there. Well, that's an objection. A lot of people wonder, well, how can I present that? Paula, let's go to the next step. This is a silly little thing that works. It works more than you can imagine. And that is using the terms feel, felt, found. Now, I want everybody in the audience to say these with me. Feel, felt, found. Not difficult, you all can say it. And this is how you overcome any objection. And that is, you're telling them that you empathize with their concerns. You understand that they have concerns, that they're not just going to roll over because you said so. So let's go through this. I know what you're thinking, or I know how you feel. There's the feel. I felt what you thought, what you felt. I felt the same way. Some things are just too good to be true, or anybody making this decision is really taking a big risk. So there's the felt. And just like you, I felt that there had to be some kind of catch. And then I did homework. And I found out that it's not any of that. It's not another way for them to get to you. That's a feel, felt, found. And in that, you're engaging with the customer. You're empathizing with the customer. You're restating the objection. And you're overcoming the objection by giving a solution at the end. Now, how many of you have seen this on television? That's right. Those are Tom Selleck's words on his commercial for reverse mortgages. It's been on television for at least a year or more. And he uses the feel, felt, found deal in explaining and overcoming and building credibility for the company that he represents. So that's how you overcome an objection. You don't start a fight. You want to overcome an objection by helping your client get to that point. How many of you knew that that was Tom Selleck? I'm in a picture, but those are Tom Selleck's words. Very interesting. All right. Well, that's feel, felt, found. And I think he overcame objections very well. And he really was, it's low on hype, but very high on trust as you look through it. So in summary of all of this is to know your customer, know their needs, their pains, and their wants. Design your product and services to meet those. And don't try to solve everybody's problem on every area. Pick an area that you can do exceedingly well and that you can figure out a way to do it efficiently, that you can make money on it. And then as you refine that service, hire good people and train them, and manage a sales process, develop a sales process. We at SCORE are there to help you. Work on your business model canvas so that you can begin to articulate what's important to you and your business. And use technology. It's cheap and everybody's got a computer. So use it to help automate your process. By having a plan, you're going to overcome the fear, the anxiety. I mean, many people when they're in business are just anxiety driven. They're just high anxiety, man. And that's because they don't have a plan. If you have a plan and you've worked on it and you listen and participate in the transaction and you train your people to have a way to express themselves and communicate the value that your business represents, your sales are going to increase. You're going to see great success. Okay, Paula, I'll open up for questions. That's about what I have.
Great. Thank you so much, Peter. This has been really informative and super helpful. I'm going to open up the poll too, because we'd like to know where you're from and that we're providing you guys with some good information here. So if you wouldn't mind answering our poll survey here as we go through the question and answers. If we've got questions, happy to just post those up in the Q&A. And I also want to let folks know, a lot of the information that Peter talks about, we do take a deeper dive into, he had mentioned Jack Morris talking about the marketing. We had he and Jeremy Petty last month talking about marketing and digital marketing. That was a 4-part series that was all recorded. And you can have access to those recordings and learn more about how to digitally market your business as well. And then Nabil and I last week had talked about metrics for your business as well as CRMs, and really focusing in on how to use data to help you with sales. So there's a lot of great information that SCORE has available, and we definitely want to provide you with that information. If you wouldn't mind here just filling out the poll, and we'll leave that open for just a minute here. And then I'll check and see. I don't think we have any questions, Peter, just because you're a rock star and you explain everything so well.
No, they're all very timid. That's they don't be afraid, because this is a chance. I'll answer any question you'd like, and it would give you an opportunity. There's something that hopefully I ignited some burning sensation in between your ears. That is a question that you wonder, does it work, or how does it work, or how can I do this within my business? I'm more than happy to discuss that with you. So feel free to comment. Go to the Q&A area and throw a question up.
And also, one of the things that we like to drill home is if you do have questions, if you want some help with that business model canvas that Peter provided to you at the very beginning of the session, that's what we're here for, is to provide you with the mentoring. This is such a good question. Wow.
It is, isn't it?
What if people don't believe you? Yeah, well, there you are with sales. That's a really good question. Peter, you have a response for that one?
Sure. I think that you have to understand that people don't believe you if they don't think that you're credible. If you haven't taken the time to tell them who you are, to tell them that you understand what their needs are, that's how you get people to believe you. People believe you if you know what you're talking about. If you just happen to say, well, I saw something down the street and that reminded me of a deal I did 10 years ago, that isn't making it a believable issue. You have to really look at what is the thing that makes it believable? What is the thing that gives you credibility? In Feel, Felt, Found, when Tom Selleck says, I know how you feel, and I felt the same way, and I found this, there is great credibility in what he's saying. And people do listen to that. And they're going to listen to you if you've built the credibility. You can't get credibility by wearing an earring. You have to get credibility by earning it. And you earn it through a sales process that really makes the most sense.
I know
Other
in my
questions,
business
hopefully
too.
that answers it. We ought to detail that if we can.
That's great. And I
Next
think
one is
you're,
how to best compensate your salespeople. Well, in the final analysis, selling is all about selling, right? And so it is important that they are incentivized to bring in sales. And so you have to work, it depends on the industry that you're in. In my experience, some combination of a base and commission makes the most sense. If you just give them commission, they're going to be too laissez-faire about what you're doing. The issue is if you give them a base and they show up for that, and then you give them commission, you're going to incentivize them to be more effective in what they're doing. But you have to work with them all the time. You can't just say, I meet on Monday, I don't talk to them any other time during the week, and they're going to bring in all kinds of business. No, you have got to be proactive in your approach for when you hire. Hiring a salesperson is difficult enough. Maintaining and managing a salesperson is really where the big trick is as you go with it. So how do you decide to hire salespeople? That it's when you can't do it all yourself. It's when you recognize that you're getting more interest in your product and in your service because you're doing a good job. Then you have to bring in somebody to help you. I have clients who, after 30 years, have not hired a salesperson because they don't think anybody can do their job. The reality of it is that many people can do their job. They're just not taking the challenge of being a good manager. Being a good manager means you have to be able to replicate your ability, to replicate what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and to do it in such a way that there's integrity to it. That's why. Now here's, do engineers make good salespeople? Absolutely. Engineers make great salespeople because they're looking to solve a problem. As a salesperson, you're looking to solve the customer's problem. You're looking to overcome their need with your service or product. It's a lot. I don't know if any of you have ever gone fishing. If you go fishing, you can hire a fishing guide who's not going to fish for you, but is going to show you where they've had good experience in catching fish. And they'll say, cast your rod over there. That's a good salesman. That's an engineer because they know that that's what's going on. An engineer is a great salesman. Many engineers say, well, I could never be a salesman. If you're an engineer and you're a problem solver and you understand, you begin to learn how to fix on needs and on solutions to needs, that's what a salesperson is all about. Selling is all about solving somebody's needs. And that's what an engineer does. At least that's what my experience with engineers is. Any other questions? That's a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that. That's good. I'm going to reiterate one of the things that you said, Peter, about that first question and building trust with people. When you're in sales, and that is your number one responsibility, is building trust around yourself, building trust around the company. And those, developing those skills and those tactics can be as simple as if someone provides you with that objection, oh, I just don't believe you. I typically, if I'm in that situation, I will just tell the person, well, it sounds like we have just a fundamental issue around trust. How can we resolve that? And I put it back in their court because I think a lot of times we don't ask enough questions in sales. We're always into our pitch. We're always into, telling them the features and benefits of whatever product we have. But that piece of developing an understanding around them, their needs, their problems, their pain points, like you talked about, is so critical.
I've had many occasions not many occasions, but I've had a lot of occasions where people have questioned the solution that I'm providing. And in that process, I've asked them, well, what's your experience with this? It sounds like you've had some experience in buying this kind of service or this kind of product before. What has been your experience with it? What did you do right and what did you do wrong? They'll tell you why they're objecting if you give them a chance.
Exactly.
They really will.
Exactly.
So you just have to kind of ask the question. Your job is to ask questions. Your job is not to go on for a 50-minute monologue about your product or services. Your job is to find out in the least amount of time what they need and figure out how you're going to, and if you can't provide it, if you know your competition, if you know what they're shopping for and you can't do it, then it makes a lot of sense for you to say, I don't know if I can help you. Mm-hmm. What you look like you've examined all of these things. We're a good solution. Our price is this, that, and the other thing. And we do offer these benefits, but maybe you're looking for more than what we can offer you. Sometimes the customer will say to you, no, not really. No, what you're offering me is what I really want. I just happen to see these other things. And it was thought that I wasn't sure whether that was a compelling reason or not, but it doesn't sound like it is. So yeah,
I have a phrase that I use all the time, and that is, my job is just getting people out of their own way.
That's right.
That's my job. And I think that that's a huge piece that people don't understand. Like, they have needs, and as long as you're discovering those needs and you're solving a problem, you're just getting them out of their own way, getting them out of their own head. There's another good question here. Peter, where would you think it's best to look for good salespeople? Obviously with today's job market, that's a great question.
Well, other than I guess you'd go to any one of the sites if you describe the need. This is the key. It's just like describing your customer. What are you looking for? If you're in the floral business, you're probably looking for a florist and someone who has a sales bent or is outgoing that you could train to be a good salesperson, that you could get them to understand what you're doing. And that might be somebody you look at. Maybe your competition has the right people. Anybody, not anybody, but you can make a salesperson out of someone who has integrity, someone who can talk fairly well, and who has an interest in what you're selling or servicing. You might want to look around the people in your shop right now and think, they could be a good salesperson if I just put some time in them. Now, if you're looking for a salesman, go to a car dealership and get a used car guy and have him be your salesman. Well, most used car salesmen are just what the customer is looking for. The customer wants something for nothing. They want the best car they can buy for the least amount of money, and they just want it to look pretty. And that used car salesman is doing what they want them to do. I don't think when you're building a business and you're trying to be known for your integrity, that you just want to solve that problem. You want to define your customer and your salespeople as people you can trust. And that's part of the process that you build in a sales strategy and in a business model. As you're looking to define your business, you want to be able to engineer, getting back to the engineers, the way that you provide the solution to a series of needs that you understand and have already figured out how to solve. So I hope
that's such a great point. I think when people are looking to hire salespeople, we always have the, in the back of our mind, the Indeed or the ZipRecruiter or, getting online and posting an advertorial. However, there's some other resources that we always forget. And that is, the people that we know, the people that use our products, the people that have used our services, they are a great source of information. And if you're using a CRM, and you have a texting capacity within that CRM, sending out a text to all of your customers, sending out a text to your network of people, letting them know, we're growing, because that's exciting news about your company. First of all, keeps them at the forefront of the mind. And also they might know of someone that is ideal for you. And I think that grassroots networking to find salespeople is always a great idea as a starting point, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Well, another thing that's of value is if you don't have any salespeople now and you want to add salespeople to your staff, be willing to make a mistake. Hire a retired person or hire a young person on a part-time basis and give them a few clients to work with, or give them a certain time to get out on the floor and try to sell something. And you have to work with them. You can't just say, go out and do that. Go out and be a star just because I hired you for that. You have got to train them. You may find that you get a part-time, let's say you get a part-time retiree, and they're out selling, and you can't train them. You can't make them successful. Well, maybe you need to redo what you're doing. Maybe you need to think about your process, and you need to think about the kind of people you're going to get. Everybody wants this push a button and I got the perfect salesperson. I got the perfect deal just by selecting correct. Well, success by selection is a big deal. But if you're in a small business, you've got to trial and error some of the things you do. You may think that the person that you need to be a salesperson for your organization is that person right over there. And they may be the absolute worst for your business. So you have to make some mistakes. Put somebody on for 30 days and see how they live. Put them on a 30-day or 60-day trial. See what they're going to do. If what you're doing and what they're doing works, then you got something to talk about. There may be parts of what they do that does work. Don't let them come on unless they're going to fill out and be complete with your CRM program, because that's part of the job. You have to define the job description for good salespeople and then hold their feet to it. You really do. One of the issues, I didn't have a slide here I didn't talk about, is you have to be willing to fire people. You might hire somebody and after 20 days, you realize, hey, this isn't working. You're not matching my needs and I'm not matching yours. Let's just go our separate ways. So you have to be willing to take that kind of stance. Hiring one time in your life will never work. And the hardest thing to do as a business person is to fire people. It really is. I remember the first one I had to fire. It's frustrating. It's painful. But you have to overcome that as well in your business. And that's going to make your business better because it's going to match your values.
That's important, Peter. Thank you so much. And I just want to thank everyone for coming. Again, if you're interested in getting a mentor, you can certainly sign on with SCORE Minnesota, and we're happy to help you there. We do appreciate you coming on today and appreciate your time, Peter, for sure, in spending that with us and providing valuable information to our clients and folks that were able to participate today. Thank you so much, Peter.
Well, my pleasure. We have a lot better mentors than me out there too, by the way. So,
I think you're just wonderful, dear. Well, hope everyone has a great afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. And we'll be talking more about sales. We're really looking forward to finishing out our series here to help folks in building more return on investment and building their sales process.